Hello and welcome to Into the Woods with Holly Worton. This podcast has evolved over the 5+ years since it first launched. From now on, I'm going to be talking about deepening your connection with yourself, taking inspired action, and really trusting yourself and your intuition. And also mindset, of course, but mindset of all kinds, not just business mindset. I think. Things are changing for me, as you may have noticed if you've been following me online or listening to this podcast, so anything goes here. I hope you stay along for the ride. Thank you so much for joining us today, and now let's get into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to the Into the Woods podcast, episode 306. This is your host, Holly Worton, and I'm back with another solo episode. Today, I am going to talk about a topic that was requested by a listener. It's all about how to create new habits that stick. I know a lot of people really struggle with this, and I feel like this is something that I'm pretty good at when the new habit is something that's really important to me. So in this episode, I share tips on creating habits, but most importantly, I share questions I think you need to ask yourself before committing to a new habit. So, what are you going to learn today? The questions you need to ask yourself before committing to a habit, they're really specific. And I also give some questions for you on how to really make that new habit specific. So rather than being really vague with it, what are all the little details that you need to take into consideration? I also talk about why you really need to commit to it and make it non-negotiable. Talk about how to commit to it, how to make sure that it happens, how to make sure that you stick to it and it becomes a habit, rather than just this thing that you've tried but didn't manage to make stick. So, before we get into today's episode, I wanted to thank everyone who has filled out the survey. And if you haven't yet, I would really, really love for you to do so. If you go to hollyworton.com/survey, you can find it there. Basically, it's just some simple questions on what do you want me to talk about? How do you want to hear from me? That would make it really, really easy for me to produce the things that you want to know about. As you know, I love when people send me topics for things, whether it's for a blog post, whether it's for a book idea, whether it's for a podcast. So if there's something that I haven't talked about yet that you would like to hear me talk about, please let me know. You can drop me a line at holly@hollyworton.com, or you can fill out the survey, which is hollyworton.com/survey, and that will redirect you to the survey. So let's get into this episode. Habits. What are they? So a habit is a routine of behavior that we tend to do automatically because it's kind of embedded into our subconscious. So I've talked a lot about the subconscious mind and subconscious beliefs, and a habit is an activity, an action, a routine of behavior that we repeat on a regular basis because it's embedded in our subconscious. It's something that occurs subconsciously because we've done it so many times, it's become a habit. So that's what a habit is. And a lot of people, I think, really struggle with this. And I think one of probably the biggest reasons why people struggle with this is because perhaps a habit isn't necessarily something that they want, but perhaps it's something that they think they should do because someone said, oh, you should do this or you should do that. And so they think, oh, well, I guess I should. And they take on this habit as a should and not a want. So is this habit something that you really, really want to cultivate for yourself? This is a really important question for you to be asking yourself. Do you really, really want to cultivate this habit? Is it worth your time, your energy, your focus? Do you really, really want it? And why do you want it? Know your why. Why is this habit important to you? Why is investing time and energy and focus on this habit important to you? Why? Why do you want it? And how important is it to you? Like on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is low and 10 is high, How important is this habit to you? Is it a 10? Is it something you really, really want? It's super, super important? Or is it kind of like, oh, that would be nice to have? Because if it's something that you really, really want, you're more likely to make it happen. You're more likely to do the stuff that you need to do to make it happen. But if the habit is like, oh, that would be nice to have, then that's not really high priority. It's not really that important to you, and you're probably not going to do what it takes to make it happen. So a couple weeks ago on episode 304, I talked about how to prioritize when you can't do it all. So if this new habit is like, oh, that would be nice, then it's probably not going to be high enough priority to make it into your calendar and actually become a habit. Because you've got to do something, you've got to repeat something many, many times before it becomes a habit. And I think this is a really important thing to call out. So I remember years ago when I was in grad school at UCLA and I was doing my Open Water 1 diving certification, scuba diving certification. And they were really, really big on making us do stuff over and over and over and over until it became a habit, until it became subconscious, so that when we were underwater in, human beings aren't designed to swim underwater. So when we're underwater in the ocean with a tank on our backs, which is potentially a dangerous situation. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong. So if something did go wrong, we would unconsciously, subconsciously be able to take the action we needed to take to be safe and, get above water and breathing. So they really base that on science. However, the science is really hazy on this. Some people say, and some studies say, that it can take 21 days of doing something before it becomes a habit. Other studies say it takes 66 days. Other studies say it takes 2 months. One study, which I think is probably the most accurate, because I think this really varies for different people. This one study says that it takes between 18 and 254 days of repeating something before it becomes a habit. So different habits are going to be easier for you to pick up than others. Different habits are going to take more repetition for you than others. And a particular habit might take you longer time or less time than your friend or colleague or other person to become a habit. I think the thing I'm saying here is that there are no hard, fast rules. Some things are going to be easier than others, and some things are going to be easier for you than they are for other people. Some habits are going to be more challenging for you than other people. Like, don't go into this thinking, oh, well, all I need to do is repeat this for X amount of days and then I'm set. You don't know. It might take you 18 days. It might take you 254 days or anywhere in between, or more or less. Who knows? So don't pay attention to that stuff, except to know that you're going to have to repeat this thing many, many times before it becomes a habit. So that's why it's so important to be sure that you really, really want this, that it's something that you want rather than something you think you should have or should be doing, and that you know how important it is to you, because you're going to be investing time and energy and focus on it. If it's not that important, then devote your time to something else. So, do you really, really want it? Assuming that you do really, really want it, the next step, in my opinion, is to be super specific about what you want. What is this new habit? When will you do it? How often will you do it? So, for example, last September, I started intermittent fasting. I had tried intermittent fasting before. It did not go well for me. I hated it. I decided I wasn't good at fasting. And then last year, I decided I was going to pick it up again and try it again. I'm really good with doing the same thing every day. So when I had first tried intermittent fasting, I tried a completely different kind. I think it was called 2-5. So it's where 5 days you do one thing, 2 days you do another thing, and it really didn't work for me for a variety of reasons. But one thing that I really liked about what I did in September was I started 1 meal a day. So I fast for 22 or 23 hours, and then I eat one big meal a day. So I do that every single day. Now, sometimes on the weekends, or if I go out with friends, I might shift that up a little bit. I'm more flexible with this now. But in the beginning, I was super, super careful. So I downloaded an app onto my phone. I tracked when I started the fast. I tracked when I ended the fast. I made sure that I wasn't ending the fast. Even if it was just a handful of minutes, I would sit and wait with the food in front of me until my fast was up, and then I would eat. So I was very specific about what I wanted. What was the new habit? It was intermittent fasting, specifically OMAD, or 1 meal a day. When was I going to do it? Every single day. How often would I do it? Every single day. And I would break my fast at dinner time after at least 22 hours of fasting. So I was super specific about that. With my kickboxing training, so I'm preparing for my summer course, which is my next grading. I've been running twice a week. Same thing. Be specific about what you want. I was going to do the run up to Box Hill 2 days a week. Very specific route, 2 days a week, and every week until my summer course. And then I'm going to quit running again, like I always do, because I'm doing it to specifically train for something. So be specific about what you want. What is the new habit? When are you going to do it? How often will you do it? The next question you need to ask yourself is this reasonable? Is it doable? Is it achievable? So if you're familiar with SMART goals, you've probably heard of the specific, measurable, achievable, something, and time-bound. I can't remember what the R is. It's very important to make sure that this habit is achievable to you. How does it fit into your current lifestyle or schedule? Can you fit it into your current lifestyle or schedule? If you can't, then it's not going to be very achievable. So it's one thing is very different to say, I'm going to run 2 days a week. I can totally fit that into my calendar. And I know that because I time blocked it. Like when I set this goal for myself, I was like, okay, how many days a week can I run? Can I do 3 days a week? No, I can't do 3 days a week because it just doesn't fit. So what I ended up doing was time blocking it into my schedule for 4 days a week, even though I know that's not going to happen because sometimes I can do it on the weekend. So I blocked out Saturday and Sunday. Most weekends I'm doing something, so I can't. So I also blocked out Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which are the days that I normally don't go to kickboxing. So because I don't want to do both things in one day. So I've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then at the start of the week, I look through my calendar, I review what I've got going on, drag and drop stuff, and delete stuff that I know I can't do. So this week, for example, yesterday was Bank Holiday Monday, so there was no kickboxing. So that means I'm going to kickboxing today. So that means that when I looked at my calendar, I looked at the time that I had blocked out in the calendar for my run this morning, and I dragged it to yesterday. So I did my run yesterday, and I'm going to do it tomorrow. This weekend, I have an outdoor first aid course, so I can't get in any extra runs on the weekend because I'm going to be actually up on Box Hill both Saturday and Sunday, but I'm not going to run there because I have an outdoor first aid course, which is very long. So I hope that gives you an idea of how I'm fitting this into my schedule. Same thing, other weekends I'm away, so I make sure I do the run during the week. And that's vital to actually making it happen. So again, is this habit reasonable, doable, achievable? And how do you know that? By looking at how it fits into your current lifestyle or schedule. Time blocking, I talk about it all the time, and that's because it makes life so much easier. I'm a super visual person. Google Calendar is what runs my life, and that's how I see how I can fit stuff into my current lifestyle and schedule. So, next question. Start small. So how can you simplify this habit? I think if you make it as simple as possible, then it's going to be easier for you to make it a habit. It's going to be easier for you to commit to it. It's going to be easier for you to take the action. It's going to be easier for you to make it unconscious. So does this habit have different levels? Like, can you adjust the frequency? So like I said, running, it would be great if I could do it 3 times a week, but I can't most weeks. So I've committed to 2 days a week. It's in my calendar 4 days a week. So if I can do it 3 days a week, then I will. Remember the last time that happened? I think I've just been doing it 2 days a week since I started because that's what's reasonable and doable and achievable for me. So again, I would have liked to do it 3 days a week, but I can't because it doesn't fit. So I'm doing it twice. So how can you simplify it? If you see that this new habit doesn't fit into your calendar the way you want it to, does it have a different level? Can you tone it down a bit? Can you do it for a shorter time? So like for me, it's really important to do this specific run because it is the very specific run that we're probably going to be doing on the summer course. But if I weren't training for this particular course, if I just wanted to get into running, I could simplify it by doing a shorter run. I could run somewhere else. I could have a shorter warm up and cool down. I could adjust the frequency. So start small. Think about how you can simplify this habit. And once you've created this habit, once you've seen that you can do this and it's become a habit, it's become unconscious, you can move it up to the next level. So you could do a longer run. You could do more frequent runs. You could do whatever. You can up level it to the next level. But start small and keep it simple because it's easier to start small with something that's really, really targeted and focused and then grow it later, increase it later to the new level rather than starting big. That's what works for me. However, maybe something else works for you. Maybe it helps you to set super huge goals and targets for your habits and force yourself to stick to them. I don't know. Everyone's different. So, next thing, select one new habit to implement. Commit to one thing. And this is really important because it's so much easier to make lifestyle changes if you're making them one at a time. So if you want to lose weight, don't start a new diet or way of eating and commit to exercising. Like most diet programs, if you're one of those people who like pays for a program, they will usually say don't exercise or don't worry about exercise because you're paying for their program and they want you to just commit to the diet food part of the weight loss. So same thing goes for anything. Like commit to one thing, make one lifestyle change, commit to it, make it a habit, and then add something else. I used to have this friend who would, every once in a while, commit to 1,000 new things at once. She'd be like, I'm gonna go vegan, and I'm gonna quit this, and I'm going to quit sugar, and I'm going to exercise 5 days a week, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. And it was like she would have this whole shopping list of new lifestyle changes. And she would get so excited about them because they were all things that were really important to her. But she would try to implement them all at once and then fail terribly because it was so much. So if you have a bunch of new habits that you want to implement, so say you want to quit sugar and you want to go vegetarian and you want to exercise 5 days a week. So you've got these 3 things that you really want to do. And you want to say write a book, so you want to write for a half an hour every morning. What's most important to you? Like pick one thing. What is the most important thing out of those? They're all important. But sit down and prioritize. Rank them. So those were 4 things. Rank them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one is most important? Pick that and get started. Commit to one thing. And I know that's hard because a lot of us want to like change our lives. We want to make so many changes. But if you've had problems committing to things in the past, if you've had problems implementing habits, if you've had problems achieving your goals, this advice is for you. Pick one thing and commit to it. That doesn't mean that you're never going to do the other things. It just means that you're going to start with this one thing. Next is to really commit to the new habit. Make it non-negotiable and don't make exceptions. So years ago, when I first started running, I really committed to it. It was non-negotiable. It happened, I don't know. I think I was running 4 days a week. 4 days a week, and I had a very specific training plan because I was training for a marathon, and there were no exceptions. No exceptions. Like, I did it, and I did it. If I was going to run 20 minutes, I ran 20 minutes. If I was going to run 40 minutes, I ran 40 minutes. If I was going to run an hour, I ran for an hour. Like it was non-negotiable. I did it no matter how hard it was. Until this one day, I don't know what happened. Now in retrospect, I think it was a mindset problem. But this one day, it was hard and it was hot and I was just not having a good day. So I gave myself permission to make the exception and I didn't complete my time. And from then on out, it was just a shit show. Like, I found it really hard to commit to it. Oh, this was actually after I ran my marathon. So after I ran my marathon, that if you read my book on the South Downs Way, you know that I didn't complete. Again, mindset problems. I know this now. But again, set out to do this thing, didn't do it. And that it was like giving myself permission to make the exception meant that I had loads of exceptions. Now, of course, with an example like running, there are going to be times where you shouldn't push yourself because you might end up getting an injury, but there are times when it's our mind crap getting in the way. You've heard me talk about mindset enough that you probably know how to distinguish when it's your mind gremlins that are telling you to make the exception and quit. But pay attention to what's going on in your head. Because again, there was another time, this is years ago, where I had committed to the run, but I was really exhausted. I slept in late, got up to do the run. I forced myself to do the run. I felt like shit. I was really upset with myself for not getting up early and doing the run when it was cool in the morning because it was hot, the sun was out, it was horrible, it was hard going. And I was so angry in my head. I was beating myself up. And my mindset was so bad that I tripped on a rock and fell down and ended up in the hospital with stitches. So pay attention to your mind stuff. It's really important. I know these are all running examples. I actually made a list of my habits and things so that I wouldn't use all the same examples. But I think running is a really good one because I, for one, I love running when I'm doing it and I love how I feel after. But I find it so hard to drag myself out of the house and actually go running. No matter how much I know how good it's going to feel during and after, it's so hard to drag myself out of the house. So that's why it has to be super non-negotiable for me, except when I end up with stitches. So next, commit to an easy goal to start. So maybe commit to 1 week. And then once you've done that week, commit to the second week. Then commit to a month. Then commit to, 3 months, whatever. This may or may not work for you, but I find this really easy as well. Just commit to 1 week. If you're the kind of person who, again, really struggles with making habits, commit to 1 week. Because it's easy to commit to 7 days. So say you want to, floss your teeth every day. Maybe you've been really lazy with flossing your teeth. You do it, every once in a while. But you want to commit to every day. So commit to 1 week because it's so much easier to commit to 7 days of doing something rather than from now until the rest of my life, I'm going to floss my teeth every day. Yeah, you should. Yeah, that would be good. But if you've had problems with that, commit to every day for a week. Same goes for, say, writing. I don't write like this, but a lot of people do. A lot of people will commit to a half an hour in the morning or an hour in the morning. This is standard advice for people who work a full-time job but want to become a writer. They always say, the writing experts always say, set your alarm an hour early. Write for an hour in the morning before you go to work. I don't like writing in little chunks, but a lot of people do. So if you're going to commit to writing, say, an hour a day, every single day, commit to 1 week. See how it goes. Once you've completed that, commit to the second week, commit to the month. But make it an easy goal because I think it can be really daunting to be like, from now until the end of eternity, every single day I will do this thing. That's really big. It just feels so heavy. So committing to a week might make that easier for you. Next, tell someone. Get accountability. Either get an app, and I'm going to link in the show notes to this blog post on the best habit tracking apps with an update for 2019. And that worked for me. So using a fasting app really made it easy for me to add fasting to my life. There are other apps that are designed for all kinds of habits. Or tell someone, tell your partner, tell your friend, tell someone who wants to do the same thing as you for accountability. And like I said, time block it into your calendar to make sure that it happens. If you're the kind of person who uses a lot of notifications on your calendar or on your phone, do those. Set up an alarm, set up notifications to remind yourself to do this thing. Do whatever you need to do to make it happen. But if you use an online calendar, or even if you use it like a printed planner, block it in there to make sure it happens. Next, one thing that I used to do, and I used to love this, and I haven't done it in years because I don't use a wall calendar anymore, but when I did, I would put stars on the calendar, like a mini celebration. I remember I would have different colored stars for different things. So I'd have 1 star for going to the gym, 1 star for writing a blog post. This was back when I first started blogging. 1 star for, other stuff that I was keeping track of. And I had different colored stars for different things. And I loved looking at my calendar on the wall with all the stars. It made me feel like a super achiever. I loved it. So, stars on the calendar. Do whatever you need to do to keep track of your progress and have like a little mini celebration. I really liked the calendar stars. So, next, what to do if you struggle. So, if you're really struggling to implement this habit, reevaluate your habit. Go back to the start and ask yourself these questions. Is this important to you? Is this habit really, really important to you? Or is it something that you feel like you should be doing? Do you really, really want it? And how badly do you want it? How important is it to you on a scale of 1 to 10? Now, if it's still important to you, how can you change it? Like, how can you readjust this habit so that it's easier for you? Can you simplify it? Can you adjust the frequency? Can you adjust how long it takes you to do the thing? How can you do it differently? So fasting, 1 meal a day really works for me. But if it hadn't, there are a ton of other ways you can fast. You can do 18-6, you can do 16-8. So the big number of hours that you're fasting a day, the smaller number is the window in which you're eating. I could fast maybe just every other day, and then on other days just eat normally. I could do so many different things. With running, I've already given you a bunch of ideas on how you can adjust a run. Morning routine. I have a morning routine that I do every day, but lately I'm not doing it every day because other things have been more important, such as the run. I don't have time in the morning to do my morning routine and do a run. Right now, until the end of June, which is when I have my summer course, the run is more important. So that means the morning routine doesn't happen every day. But after June, it will go back to being every day. Let's see. Emails first. So that's another thing that I've really changed in my calendar. I start out my workday responding to emails, I get them out of the way, and then I move on to other things and get my important tasks and projects and activities done. Let's see what else. Habits. Maybe you're the kind of person who spends a lot of time on your phone, so you want to work on spending less time on your phone. I do not sleep with my phone in my bedroom. I plug it in before I go to bed, and I don't look at it until after my morning routine is done and I'm starting my workday. Also, with iPhones, I know now you can kind of create like downtime for your phone. So my active times for my phone are my work hours, and then everything kind of like it dims your apps when you're in the downtime mode. And you can like override those if you actually need to do something, but the default is outside of work hours, the apps are dimmed and I have to like make an extra effort to open an app. So that's something you could do. So let's say you're struggling with that. How can you change that? Maybe widen your hours so that you've got some leeway between your work time and your downtime. Maybe only do it certain days of the week. Play with it and see how you can reevaluate your habit to make it easier for you. It's all about making it easy so that you can simplify it and make it a habit. Once you've made it a habit, you can up-level. Don't force yourself to do the big thing from the start. Maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. If it's not working for you, simplify it, make it easier, and then up-level at a later date. Next, celebrate. Celebrating is super important. So you can have those mini celebrations like little stars on your calendar, or you can reward yourself. So like when I was doing the fasting, I originally started fasting because I was looking to lose weight, which I did. I had all kinds of goals as I hit certain weights. Make sure that when you're rewarding yourself, pay attention so the reward doesn't sabotage your habit. So like my rewards were like new clothes, new shoes, new stuff. So if your goal is to create a habit of fasting, then maybe the best reward is not to eat a ton of food one day, because that might throw you off on your fasting the next day. Or maybe it is, I don't know. But just make sure that the reward doesn't sabotage your habit. So, for example, if your habit is to run 2 days a week or go to the gym 2 days a week, maybe the habit shouldn't be like taking a week off, because that might sabotage the work that you've put in. So those are some ideas. But I think it is important to celebrate. I think it is important to reward ourselves, to give ourselves credit for the work that we've put into it. So think about what habits you want to create. Maybe you want to meditate every day. Maybe you want to change your way of eating. Maybe you want to incorporate a new type of exercise or start exercising. Maybe you want to have a morning routine or an evening routine. Maybe you want to spend more time outdoors in nature. Maybe it's something work-related like one-touch emails or doing your emails first or taking a class of some kind or writing or some other kind of creative thing. Like maybe you want to start painting again or decluttering. I recently decluttered my office. It had gotten really, really bad. It was embarrassingly bad. It was so bad I could barely work in it. It was so uncomfortable. I hated it. And I spent like 3.5 hours decluttering my office, and it feels like a new place. I'm super, super, super happy with it. Now, it would have been better if I had created the habit of decluttering on a weekly or monthly basis, but I hadn't. So maybe that would be a good habit for me to create. I would have to evaluate and get it into the calendar to make it happen. So think about things that you might want to do. Habits that you might want to create. Maybe sit down with your journal and make a list of all the habits you would like to create. But then remember, start with one. Just one. All right, that is it for today. I hope you found this episode interesting and useful. If you are the kind of person that struggles with habits, let me know how it works for you to implement some of these techniques and tactics into your habit-making enterprises. And if you still have questions or problems or troubles with habit creating, habit forming, send me an email at holly@hollyworton.com or find me online and get in touch. I would love to hear from you. I love getting feedback from people. Finally, I would also love for you to join me on Patreon. If you head to patreon.com/hollyworton, that's patreon.com/hollyworton, you can join me there. Membership starts at just $1 a month. And you get exclusive access to stuff that I don't share anywhere else. So I would love to see you there. Patreon.com/hollyworton. And thank you for listening. It means the world to me. Have a great week and happy habit forming. Thanks so much for listening to Into the Woods with Holly Worton. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for topics that were discussed, at hollyworton.com. That's HOLLYWORTON.com. If you'd like to connect with other listeners and get support on your journey, I would love for you to join my private community on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Holly Worton. That's patreon.com/Holly Worton. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next week.